My name is Rebecca Hanson. I am assistant professor in the Center for Latin American Studies and the Department of Sociology and Criminology and Law. I teach classes that are largely focused on issues of crime, law, and governance. So I often teach a course on crime and violence in Latin America, as well as law and order in the Americas, and qualitative methodology. So as a qualitative methodologist or a qualitative researcher, I spend a lot of time conducting interviews and ethnographic research with police officers, with residents of sectors, largely in Caracas, that have been heavily affected by crime and violence, as well as state-supported violence. My research broadly is interested in understanding why public policies that seek to improve people's lives, to reduce inequality, to reduce violence, actually end up reproducing the problems that they seek to solve. So in the case of Venezuela, one of my projects is seeking to understand why attempts to reduce police violence by the Chavez government actually resulted in very high rates of police violence a number of years later, and trying to understand why certain public policies and systems of social support resulted in higher levels of violence once those policies were implemented. So understanding how well-intended policies end up having unintended consequences in the long run. In the case of Colombia, I've been working on a project since 2016 with an interdisciplinary team where we're trying to understand what the effects of community policing strategies might be in places where state legitimacy is low or where people have very little trust in government institutions. And that is part of a larger project with other teams working in about 6 other countries, including Brazil, the Philippines, and Liberia, to have a more general understanding of how these kind of community policing strategies might work or may not work in these types of contexts. So what largely motivates my current research is an attempt to document and understand how state violence is occurring under the Maduro government, as well as to provide a more nuanced understanding of what is happening in Venezuela, given the very kind of polarized perspectives that we often see in the media, as well as a lot of analysis that's done on the ground. My future research projects and ones that I'm working on developing right now attempt to understand how communities organize against state-sponsored violence and how they can protect themselves against police violence, as well as understanding what the long-term implications of the Bolivarian Revolution and revolutionary politics will be for Venezuelan society.